Hi students, today we're going to go over 2.4 in Algebra 2, where we're writing equations of lines. Up top you see the chart that tells you, depending on what information you're given, what you should do to write the equation. If you're given slope and y-intercept, you can just plug it directly into y equals mx plus b. If you're given slope and a point, then you can use point-slope form, because you'll have an x1, a y1, and you'll have an m. Now, if you're just given 2 points, it's a little more complicated. You first have to use the slope formula to find the slope. Then you plug it into point-slope form using either of the points they gave you. So we're going to go ahead and practice these methods today. In example 1, we're writing an equation of a line that passes through the point 8, -1 and has a slope of -1. So for this problem, they gave us a point and a slope, which means I'm going to use point-slope form. Point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The x1 and the y1 stand for the values in the point they gave us. So in that point, 8, -1, the 8 is our x1, the -1 is our y1. So when I substitute, I do y minus y1 is -1 equals, our m is the slope. So in this case, it's a -1/2. I'm going to replace m with -1/2 times x minus, my x1 is 8. The only other thing we need to do right now is we need to change this to a plus. Now, depending on the directions, you may or may not be able to leave it this way. If they don't tell you to leave it in point-slope form, then you'll want to rearrange it into slope-intercept form. To rearrange it, we would distribute the -1/2. Y plus 1 equals -1/2 x. 1/2 of 8 is 4, and it's a negative times a negative, so it becomes a plus. We would subtract 1 from each side to get y equals -1/2 x plus 3.
Motion at your stick-up cam.
So that would be it for that problem. For the next one, in example 2, it says write an equation of the line that passes through -2, 1. Now this is a two-part problem. It says A, it's parallel to this line, and B, perpendicular to this line. So we have an A part and a B part. For the A part, it's parallel. That means they have the same slope. So in this line, y equals -3x plus 1, it gives us a slope of -3. What this means is we're going to use that same slope for part A. So we're using -3 for our slope, and we're using the point they gave us, -2, 1. So since they gave us a point and a slope, we'll start in point-slope form. I substitute y minus 1 equals -3 times x minus a -2. The minus a negative becomes a plus. And then I'm going to rearrange this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute the -3, -3x minus 6. Then I will add the 1 to get y equals -3x minus 5. So we're done with part A. Part B says that they're perpendicular. So if they're perpendicular, that means we need to take this slope that they gave us, the -3. We need to flip it and change the sign. So the slope we will use is m equals positive 1/3. And so I changed it from a negative to a positive, and I flipped the number. So we're going to use 1/3 for our perpendicular line and the point -2, 1. Since they gave us a point and a slope, I'm using point-slope form again. And I'm going to substitute. Y minus 1 equals 1/3 times x minus a -2. The minus negative becomes a plus. Now, looking at this problem, if you were to rearrange it, you would end up getting fractions, and it wouldn't be very pretty, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. In example 3, it says write an equation of a line that passes through -820 and -615. So for this problem, I'm given 2 points, which means I will need to find the slope first using slope formula. So when I substitute into slope formula, I get 15 minus 20 over negative 6 minus a negative 8. On top, 15 minus 20 is negative 5. On the bottom, these two minuses become a plus, and negative 6 plus 8 is 2. Now I have my slope. I can pick either of these original points, and I'm going to plug it into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to go ahead and pick this first point. Y minus 20 equals, I just found my slope, it's negative 5 halves times x minus a negative 8. The minus and negative, I'm going to make a plus. And now I'm going to go ahead and distribute. The reason I'm distributing here is because I know 8 is divisible by 2, and that will not be a fraction when I distribute. So I get y minus 20 equals negative 5 halves times x is negative 5 halves x. For negative 5 halves times the 8, I'm showing my work on the side here. I can cross reduce if I want. 2 goes into 8 4 times. So I get negative 5 times 4, which is negative 20. Now I'm going to add the 20 to each side to get y equals negative 5 halves x. These cancel out. That's why I didn't put a plus anything here. If it makes you feel better, you could put a plus 0, but you really don't need that. And that's it for that problem. We have our equation. Okay, so it looks like our last problem of the day is this word problem. In a chemistry experiment, you record the temperature of a compound to be negative 5 degrees Fahrenheit 1 minute after you begin the experiment. 6 minutes after you begin the experiment, the temperature is 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Write a linear equation that models the temperature of the compound in relation to the elapsed time. So if I look at this, the first set of information is at negative 5 degrees after 1 minute. The second one is 20 degrees after 6 minutes. So that's like they gave us 2 points there that we could use to write an equation. And it looks like the temperature is dependent upon the time. So if you recall from a previous section, we have independent variables. And we have dependent variable. Remember, the dependent variable is y, the independent is x. So since the temperature is dependent upon the time, the temperature is the dependent variable, it's the y. So I'm going to make a little note here that y is the temperature, which means x is the time. So when I write my points, the x value goes first, that means time goes first. So for the first point, 1 minute goes first, and then our y value is the negative 5. For the second point, 6 minutes, 20 degrees. Now we have 2 points and we can write our equation. I can label my points x1, y1, x2, y2, and plug those in to find slope. When I substitute, I get 20 minus a negative 5 over 6 minus 1. The 2 minuses become a plus, so I get 25 over 5, which means my slope is 5. Now I have a point and I have a slope, so I'm going to write it in point-slope form to begin with. Remember, you can use either of the original points. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and use the 1, negative 5. So y minus a negative 5 equals 5 times x minus 1. These two double negatives make a plus. In order to rearrange this, I need to distribute this 5. So y plus 5 equals 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 1 is minus 5. Now I'm going to subtract this 5 from each side to get y alone. So I get y equals 5x minus 10 as my final equation. That's it for notes today. If you have any additional questions about the notes, make sure to contact your teacher.